If you could have 30 minutes alone with God, what would you have to say to God? What questions would you ask? Perhaps you'd ask about all the suffering in our lives, war and injustice, hunger, poverty, and illness. You know, the bad things that none of us really enjoy. But for me, well, I'd get around to those things, but first I'd ask God about God, because it's important to know who the hell I'm talking to. But before we get to my talk with God, let's go over a couple of others who have had the pleasure. And there's actually quite a few people who have had the pleasure of meeting the Almighty. Well, at least His Spirit, in the form of a burning bush or an overwhelming, loud, booming voice of authority. That said, the only known person to actually talk to God face to face was Moses. That conversation, however, didn't go as planned, because all Moses wanted to know about was God Himself, just like I wanted to do. And what was God's response? To show Moses his backside. Other than that, God has been mostly silent the last couple thousands of years, sending Mary, along with a couple of others, to talk to us mere humans. And I'm just going to say it out loud. God, I got questions, not for the Blessed Virgin, but for you. So I'm requesting a formal set down. Now, before Judgment Day, my first question for you is, who the hell are you? Where do you come from? And I don't want to hear none of the bullshit that you've always just simply existed. And I'd like more than your backside for an answer. I'd like an answer I can comprehend, understand, an answer I can relate to. I need that because I'm human, which means I need a God. And in a room full of gods, I got you, the Christian God of love, peace, compassion, and all things good and kind. Except that there ain't a lot in life these days that illustrate all that love, kindness, and compassion. From hurricanes and floods to hunger and sickness, there's an awful lot of bad things that have plagued humanity since you created us from the dirt you swept up off your damn heavenly floor. And that's my second question. Why? Why the suffering? Now, I know some of the reasons that my fellow humans have came up with to explain why us mere mortals just gotta suffer. Reasons like suffering the loss of a loved one helps us to understand your love. Reasons like we can earn our redemption through our suffering. Reasons like we can grow as people due to our suffering. And the one I really like is, we suffer because it's God's plan. It's your plan. Now, like I said, these are all human reasons why we think you make us suffer. But I want to hear from you, because none of the explanations my fellow human beings are offering up makes any damn sense. And if you don't care to explain all the suffering, maybe you can let us in on what the afterlife is all about. Because one way or another, that's where we're all ending up, and it'd be kind of nice if you gave us mortals a heads up that heaven actually exists. Because if it doesn't, hey, I'm just wasting my time with you. Now, I get that a lot of people don't care at the moment if there's a heaven or a hell, but me, I got more days behind me than I do ahead. And it's natural that as you get older, you wonder about the life you've lived and what's next on the agenda. That is, if there is an agenda. Well, I guess it's time to wrap this little discussion up. But let me ask all of you out there in YouTube land, what questions would you ask the good Lord if you were allowed a set down? Yeah, I'm looking outside because winter's here. My windows are all frosted up. Anyway, you know what? I enjoy doing this video, and so I talk to God all the time. I think most people do. I mean, I never really get an answer, and if I do, I'm not smart enough to realize when I get an answer. And I don't think I'm the only one that falls into that category. But, yeah. I think most of the suffering that goes on in the world, the poverty, the hate, all that shit ain't God's doing. I'll never buy into that. Never. I think he just kind of sits back and watches. And why would he answer us? If I was God, I just, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we all have questions, don't we? And most of those questions are never ever going to be answered. And to that, all I can say is, time to do a shot of tequila. And we are moving into the holiday season, and this should post shortly before that. I don't know. We'll see. Enjoy, my friends. Have a good one. Out of here.